Wow, guys, what a night. UFC 300 is in the bag. Now I'm going to get into the three main fights. First, it was Max Holloway, Justin Gaethje for the BMF bad motherfucker title. I mean, that's what dreams are made of right there. That's a bad motherfucker versus a bad motherfucker. And when we first had that title, it was kind of like, is this a gimmick? Is this the right decision? But because of this fight now, I really think it was justified. I mean, Justin Gaethje was the bad motherfucker going into this, and we see the real BMF, Max Holloway, come out. And when Max Holloway goes God mode, it's something special. It's something, I mean, we don't know how many more fights he has, and he's still young at 32, but he's been in the UFC since 2012. He's been in some wars. But those last 10 seconds, it just showed the kind of fighter he is. I mean, he was winning the whole fight. I don't think Justin Gaethje even landed a good... I think there was like one punch he landed that was clean. And Max Holloway kind of rolled with it. He just ate it. He's a tough guy. He's never been knocked out. I don't even know if he's been knocked down, honestly. When he just got to the end of the fight and the points to the ground, and they just start swinging in the pocket, and in the last second, bam, knocks him out. I mean, I started screaming, and a lot of reactions online. People were just going nuts over that fight. But as for the fight itself, Max Holloway was kind of piecing him up. He left his front leg out there a little bit and got chewed up. And Justin Gaethje, as we know, has some very, very damaging calf kicks. His ability to land those calf kicks from any angle and move away and avoid the counter. I mean, that was the biggest danger, I thought, because it could like hinder the mobility of Max Holloway. But Max Holloway, he did a good job of staying, you know, active and moving and everything, even despite those leg kicks. I think he switched to southpaw at one point, but he really didn't need to because he was doing so well. And his ability to control range and sort of land at the end of his punch, slip, shots, he just has a really, really underrated boxing style. I think he was the one that said he had the best hands in the UFC back in the Calvin Kattar fight, when he was screaming and looking away and doing all the head movement. But now I think people are going to start to take notice, and a lot of people were underestimating Max going into this fight. They were saying he's going to get damaged and everything because of Gaethje's ability to put people out. What he did to Ferguson, what he did to Poirier in their BMF title fight, and Max kind of proved people wrong. I'll even admit I was a little bit scared for Max because I love him so much. I didn't want to see him take those kind of career-changing damage blows that Gaethje can put out and dish out, and he just did such an incredible job. I'm so proud of Max Holloway, and he is the bad motherfucker. He's the BMF, or as he likes to say, the blessed man forever. And it's pretty incredible, honestly. But that was one of the coolest moments in UFC history. That last 10 seconds, he just did something special. So the next fight was the title fight between Weili and Zhang. And I mean, the fight itself was pretty crazy. She almost had that rear naked choke, and I think she put out Zhang in the end of the first round, but she was allowed to continue. So after that, she had a lot to come back from. She was at a deficit. She ended up losing the fight, but she put a lot of heart in there, and I think she dropped Zhang Weili down one time, and it was a pretty back and forth fight at some moments. It was pretty impressive. I want to talk about something else that's not being really mentioned too much, is that this is such a big deal for Chinese martial arts, because as we know, if you've watched any of my videos, I love traditional Chinese martial arts. I've been watching Chinese martial arts films pretty much my entire life, and Kung Fu is pretty much one of my favorite things. But we're seeing an evolution now. Zhang Weili as the future of the Chinese martial art community, basically. as this transition from Kung Fu to MMA is taking place. And she started out, if you look in her bio, she started out with Shaolin Kung Fu, moved over to Sanda, and then into MMA. But she has a complete game, right? She has the grappling, as we saw, the submissions, the takedowns. She got taken down in this fight, so it's cool to have two of these women Chinese fighters coming in and being at the highest echelon, really the highest level of women's MMA. And we're seeing, I mean, this could just be the beginning, right? This could be the floodgate opening, because the Asian market is still new relatively. I know ONE FC is doing its thing, but as far as not Muay Thai fights, but MMA fights, there's just a lot of potential, considering there's over 2 billion people in China. 50% of those are women. That's 1 billion people potentially could be the next MMA fighters. A lot of these younger children growing up watching this, right? So to see that there's this limitless potential now of Chinese martial artists, especially the female ones, coming into the UFC from China. I mean, I'm curious to see how far this goes. But both fighters did an incredible job. Really impressive fight there. And Zhang Weili she's right up there with the pound for pound for the women's MMA, I think. Obviously Shevchenko is out there, Amanda Nunes is out there as the GOAT, and Rose Namajunas, back in the day, Ronda Rousey. But Zhang Weili is slowly cementing her legacy, so it's pretty cool. And the last fight I want to talk about is the main event, the main fight, the title fight between Jamal Hill and Alex Pereira. And it wasn't much of a fight, but we can talk about what happened. It was pretty gangster, pretty badass in its own right. Not quite as much as the Gaethje Holloway fight, but when he just got kicked in the groin, and then Herb Dean goes to step in, he's like, "Do you want a break or whatever?" He didn't even look at him. Poatan just pushed him away, kept his eyes on Jamal Hill, and just walked him down, landed the left hook, and dropped him, and took it out from there. It was hammer fist and good night. It was like he made it look so easy, honestly. The dude's scary. He's talking about going to heavyweight now. I mean, there's not much challenge left at light heavyweight, to be honest. He kind of cleaned up the division in 2 fights, which is really strange. Prochazka, he took him out with those nasty elbows to win the title. And I think it's just his level of striking is so efficient and so much higher skill-wise than the rest of that division, honestly. If Jones had been there, there'd be a different story. We could see some good fights. Maybe if Israel wanted to go up, there's that. But I mean, after beating Blachowicz, Prochazka, and now Jamal Hill, I think he's cleaned up that division. Of course, I don't want him to go to heavyweight just because I don't like the idea of him just getting big just to get big. But if he thinks, he's at a good weight where he could go up and do damage and take that title and be a 3-division champion, then maybe that's the move. Maybe he should go up there. I mean, him versus Aspinall, him versus Jones. There's some good fights up there. Blades is up there. There's a few guys, but I don't want to see him getting fat and fighting Derek Lewis and the sloppy. They're gassing out and all. I don't think that's the right way to go about it, considering how good he looks at light heavyweight. But that's all I'm gonna say on this topic. UFC 300, amazing event. One of the best events in UFC history, definitely. And it's crazy to see where MMA is at. Where do they go from here? I mean, we have UFC 301. It looks like obviously in the wake of this, there's going to be a lackluster card going 301. But 302, we've got Poirier versus Islam Makhachev. Regardless of what you think about that fight, after Gaethje and Oliveira lose, Poirier is the guy to take the shot, obviously, and I think, there's a chance he could win that fight. So that'll be good to see. And then, of course, Conor McGregor, Michael Chandler, UFC 303. What can you say? I hope McGregor's training. I hope he's going to come back in his best form. It's been 3 years off. We know that. It's a long time to be off. And he's been doing his thing, making movies and God knows what. But I don't know. I'm happy for Chandler to get the red panty night. I want to see a war. And I think for Chandler, obviously he lost to the top 3 guys in that division. Well, now Armin Securian, or I can't pronounce his name, but he took the fight to Oliveira and won. So the top, formerly before last night, the top 3 guys. But yeah, Michael Chandler, he made the right move for himself financially, and I think it's gonna be a war. It's gonna be an awesome fight. That first round is gonna be fire. It's gonna be amazing. Conor McGregor, Michael Chandler. And anyways, that's all I'm gonna say about it. We'll talk more in the future about these cards coming up. It's fun to talk about MMA. I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Leave a comment down below. Like, subscribe, share, and God bless. Shinobi out.